You're on.
Well then, here we go.
Yes.
I'm really pleased to see you this afternoon, and I'm very glad that we'll be able to come to the end of the reading of this book, Ghetto Sketches.
Down with it. There you go. Ghetto Sketches 2021. All right. Cover by Tony Phylissin.
Tony Phylissin himself.
And blurb on the back by Dr.
None other than
Dr.
That's it.
Gifford. Okay. Justin Gifford, University of Nevada.
Got it.
At Reno.
Got it.
Your website, www.o.ds.com. Please.
Okay, we're at the end of this, and the last title chapter is called God Bless the Child. For those of you who've been following this, you'll know that the characters that you'll be hearing from are people you've met before.
Mm-hmm.
If not here in this book, then up and down the street, or in any other place where people live tightly packed together. Hattie Evans and Thelma Edwards peer over the window ledge down onto the street. "Who is it? Which one?" Hattie asked, squinting. "It's the one they call Rapping Rudy out there, flapping his jaws off about Lou Bertha and Quindy." "Yeah, I heard the police broke in on that workshop thing they had last night while they were making bombs or something. And arrested a whole bunch of them. Lou Bertha and Quindy got away, that's what I heard." "Uh-huh. I understand they're holding old man Adams in connection with the whole business. Can you imagine how upset Charlotte and Ed must be now?" "Yes, indeed, I certainly can." "Yes, indeed. But go on. What were you saying before Lou Bertha and that boy came up?" "Oh, anyway, you know the way they are, Hattie. The minute they begin to smell their britches and their little old pee-pees start getting hard, you can't tell them a blessed thing. A two-man police squad car slowly wheels through the block, police calls ringing out somehow above the rest of the noise on the street. Rudy dips and slips down behind his group, dashes through a urine-splattered passageway leading to the back alley. The policemen spot him briefly, rev up and whip around the block. Lights suddenly gleaming on the top of their machine. Sirens zooming, all done under the sullen, hostile eyes of the neighborhood. Hattie and Thelma take a quick, complete look at the squad car speeding through and return to the conversation without comment. "No, you can't tell them a blessed thing. Ain't that the truth? But it ain't him I'm worried about. It's her I got to watch. She came sneaking in here the other night, heading straight to the bathroom, but somebody was already in there, so she didn't get a chance to rub out that stain on her dress. If I'd followed my first mind, I would have knocked her ass back down the stairs, but I don't know. I started thinking, I guess, about some of the things we used to do. And what did she say to you, Hattie?" "Ain't so much what she said to me as what I said to her. You want another can? It ought to be cold by now." "No, thank you, Hattie." "You know how I get after a brew, and I've already had two already. What did you say to her?" "I just came out and told her. I said, Phylissin, people have been talking about you and Chew Man all hemmed up in these hallways and whatnot. Bessie Mae told me just the other day she caught him in the hallway." "What did she say?" "Well, I could tell I'd hit a nerve because her eyelids drooped all down to her kneecaps." "I ain't been doing nothing wrong, Mama. I ain't been doing nothing wrong." That's what she says to me. But you know how the children lie these days. Lie faster than a cat can lick his ass. Hell, I don't know. What y'all gonna do with them? I don't rightly know, Thelma, I don't rightly know. I've told her 1,000 times, if you go out there and get a big belly, it'll be your and your little red wagon. I ain't about to become nobody's babysitting grandma. Not me. Not much living as I got to do. I know what you mean. I know just what you mean. Before I forget, I almost slipped my mind. You know, Anita's gonna have a bingo game tonight. Don't you? It's about time. We've been having games all winter at everybody's house but hers. It's about time she broke down. What's she gonna have? Chitlins, coleslaw, potato salad, and monkey bread. She's telling everybody to bring their own. We might play a little sniff and sip whist. Hattie peers anxiously out the window for a second, checking out the back of a figure that resembles her daughter's. I'll try to make it if I can, but well, I gotta stay pretty close to home these days. The minute I leave here, Chew Man is blowing smoke all over the doorknob. Lord only knows what's happening while I'm at work. I know how it is, Hattie. Me and Matthew they never had none, but we help bring up a few. If you need any kind of help, you know where my door is. I really appreciate that, Thelma. I really do. I remember something Earl used to say to me a lot before he went away. Baby, he said, having a girl baby is a hell of a lot harder than having a boy baby. All you have to worry about is one little ding-a-ling when you got a boy. But when you got a girl, you got to worry about all the ding-a-lings on the block. That Earl was always saying something like that. I heard him tell Matthew one day, man, you know what Confucius said? Virgin just like balloon. One prick, all over. Hattie, you ever hear from him? Hattie responds with studied casualness. Oh, every now and then I catch sight of him slipping and sliding around one of these corners. Or he'll pop in for a minute with a little money for Phylissin and be out to get a piece. That woman is really running that man into the ground. Last time I saw him, he was thin as a rail. Yeah, I know. Matthew told me he saw him down at the Dewdrop Inn the other night. Well, you know what they say. The Lord works in mysterious ways. And sometimes, Hattie, listen, I got to run. We'll be sitting up here running our mouths all afternoon. Matthew be home in a while acting like a grizzly bear. He's working on Sunday. Just a half a day. They had a heavy shipment coming in this morning. And old man Bugosi asked him if he'd come in and help unload for time and a half. We sure could use the money. Where's Phylissin? She was gone when I got up. That's the kind of thing she's doing these days, especially on the weekends. Leaves at 8 or 9 in the morning. You know I like to sleep late on Saturday and Sunday. And sometimes I don't see her again till time in the evening. Hattie, you're going to have to chastise that child. I didn't damn the wore daddy's razor strap out on her behind. I don't know too much else to do. At 14, she's almost as heavy as I am. Like I said, I told her, Philistine, if you get a big belly, you're going to be in trouble in more ways than one. Thelma Edwards struggles to her feet, swaying a little bit from arthritic stiffness. Well, I know you're doing your best. Like I said, if I can help in any way, just let me know. I sure will, Thelma. Are you sure you don't want another brew before you go? If I do, I'll never be able to get out of here, and Lord knows I got things to do. Try to make Nita's game tonight. Mr. Jackson's gonna be there. That old Geechee. You know how much he loves bingo. And ever since his wife passed. Well, man, you get out of here. talking that trash. Man got a nice little business at it. And he ain't the worst looking man on the block. And he ain't the best looking one neither. I guess you got something there. But I know for a fact he's got eyes for you. I guess beggars can't be choosers, huh? Now, come on, Hattie. You too good looking a woman to be talking like that. Anyway, come on over if you get a chance. All right, okay, I'll try. All right, talk to you later on. Thelma Edwards weaves to the door, tipsy after a mid-afternoon brew sip gossip session. Hattie Evans returns to the small table, nestled at the window's edge, a half-empty can of warm beer cradling her in her work-worn fingers. She sits, listening to the thrum and hum of the streets, staring pensively at the brand label on her beer can. The sudden loud noise of children playing a game jerks her head around. Phylissin and Chew Man stroll up the street. Chew Man staggers a bit, loaded on reds. He lets his hand drift from Phylissin's waist to her buttocks, brushes, feels, rubs, caresses till he knocks his hand away, till she knocks his hand away playfully. Minutes go by as Hattie waits, slowly turning the beer can around in a wet ring on the table, impatiently. Phylissin, lush, lithe, slightly bovine, pops into the room, slamming the door behind her, looks quickly and evasively at her mother and heads straight for the refrigerator. She peers inside intently. What we got to eat, Mama? Where you been, Phylissin? Oh, up and down the street. Snatching the last piece of salami from under the understocked fridge. Over Mary Jo's for a little while, and then up and down the street. Where, Phylissin? Me and Miss Edwards been sitting here right in this window just about all afternoon, and we ain't seen how to have you in all that time. And the first time I do catch sight of you, you come strolling up the street with that no-count bastard Chew Man with his hand all over your rump. Phylissin stands awkwardly, posing with one leg bent to the side, popping gum and switching stances as the mood of her mother's lecture goes from light logic to heavy drama. Miss Evans' temples bleed with repressed anger, and her right eye twitches as she goes on and on and on. Now, Phylissin, I've told you a million times not to be ripping and running up down these streets with boys hanging all over you, especially Chew Man. You know he ain't no good. Boy ain't but 15 years old and got 2 babies already. Phylissin, tired from a full day of ripping and running up and down the street with Chew Man, nods listlessly, sighs slightly with boredom between gum chops. Now I'm telling you, Phylissin, it's gonna be your little red wagon. Chew Man ain't got no job, ain't got a pot to piss in or window to throw out of. As her mother rages on and on, Phylissin's attention wanders so completely that it appears she has mentally blocked her mother out. Phylissin! Phylissin, damn it, do you hear me? Miss Evans suddenly springs from her chair, enraged by her daughter's lack of attention. After all I'm done for you, and you run around like a common hussy. Miss Evans screams the word out, hitting at Phylissin's head with the beer can, slinging a sparkling stream of warm beer across the room. Phylissin casually dodges the can in her mother's flailing fist at first, till the full weight of her attacks lands. She stumbles backwards, shielding her face and head with her arms as her mother hits wild at her with open palms and then fists, and finally with a hairbrush snatched from the dresser. Her anger's a grunted, disgusted, savage, primitive one. Between the two of them, Hattie Evans's angry grunts and the deep-throated screams coming out of Phylissin, the small room rocks with a feeling that one can call madness. Phylissin, bruised, too hurt to scream any longer. Finally, her mother's anger and her attack slow down. till she's just simply pounding at her daughter's body with no strength in the blows. The handle of the brush broken off on Phylissin's head. And then she stops crying bitterly along with Phylissin. Hard, cold, brutal tears milked from her by frustrated visions and lack of breath. Phylissin sits sobbing on the floor, her head resting on the side of the bed, lumps and snot and tears streaking her pretty brown face. Miss Evans walks slowly, woodenly away from her to the refrigerator, pulls another can of beer out of a six-pack, and moves heavily past her daughter back to the open window. She sits looking tired, angry, and blue. The room and the space between mother and daughter is filled with spent tension, but not private tension. Below them, the sound of a blasting car horn. From the next room, the sounds of a man and woman making drunken, loud, careless love. And from another place, an L train rumbling by, the gravelly sound of Reverend Tilly, Aretha, Ray, Pharaoh, Sunrock, Ornette, Cecil, Mongo, the screams and yells of a group playing children. Phylissin crawls up over the side of the bed, swollen, hurt, in a state of shock, crying bitter, sporadic tears. Hattie Evans sits, quietly sipping her beer, tears running over her cheeks and down into the corners of her mouth. Phylissin sobs herself off to sleep. All her mother remains in place, shaking her head slowly as though trying to rid herself of evil thoughts. The two of them remain in place as though in a state of suspended animation. The daughter beaten and worn, the mother worn and beaten almost. Phylissin, wake up, baby. Let mama speak to you. Let mama talk to you. Phylissin jerks backward on the bed involuntarily as her mother reaches out to pull her into her arms. Don't be afraid, honey. Mama's sorry. I guess I just lost my temper. I'm sorry. They sit in a warm silhouette, framed in the half-light of early evening, mother and daughter with their arms around each other, crying quietly. Hattie Evans holds her daughter's tear-stained face in her hands, trying to blot out in some way the noise, the filth, the rats, roaches, poverty, and meanness of their lives. Baby, listen to me, please. Mama don't want to be beating on you. But that's the only way I can teach you what you have to know in life. Life is hard. And men ain't nothing but dogs. And that's a lesson you got to learn early in life. Men will sweet talk you and jive you till they get what they want. And after that, they don't want to have nothing else to do with you. Now, don't get me wrong. Some men ain't like that. But most of them is. Until you learn the difference between the two, you got to be really on your guard. Or as y'all say nowadays, y'all got to be on your job. What it is, Phylissin says quietly, and she and her mother look at each other openly with affection for the first time since she entered the room. Phylissin, you're getting too big a girl for me to be throwing y'all around this room the way I'm doing. They both stare suddenly, fearfully as several bodies in the hallway wrestle, bump through. The sounds of men arguing come through and then fade as they go on. I know what I think you really need, probably more than any advice I can give. You know what that is? Phylissin shakes her head slowly, negatively from side to side as she wipes her nose with the back of her hand. Mrs. Evans gently removes her hands from her daughter's. A determined look in her eyes begins to bustle about the dingy little apartment assembling herself. She pulls a blood-red dress with fringes around the hip line from a small collection of outdated dresses in her closet, shakes her head negatively and pulls another one out, weighs the merits of the two dresses carefully and finally decides to stick with the red fringe. Mrs. Evans, totally caught up in the dress selection, temporarily forgets her daughter, who sits up in bed watching her mother's actions with a puzzled expression. Mama? Yes? You never did tell me what it was you thought I needed. Mrs. Evans pauses in the course of greasing her legs and giving Phylissin a secretive little smile. I got it in mind, sweetheart. I got it in mind. If it works out okay, I'll tell you about it later on. Phylissin continues staring at her mother quizzically. You going out somewhere? Mrs. Evans, in her best nylon slip, putting on makeups in the mirror, mumbles, to a bingo game at Nita's, and goes on to her hair, struggling to a bit with the handleless comb, or handleless brush. Phylissin hops from the bed to help her mother, beads of perspiration on her forehead and top lip, zip up the slightly too tight red dress. They manage with joint effort, Mrs. Evans sucking in deeply, Phylissin pulling the zip up to get the dress on. Well, look, she asks, making a couple of turns, and hey, it looks nice, Mom, it really does. Mrs. Evans sways rhythmically a few times, suddenly caught up by the music from someone's radio being played weekend loud down the hall. She bounces over to a cheap mahogany jewel box for a piece of jewelry to get her set her dress off with, humming a bit as she does. Finally, satisfied that her thing is together, she turns to Phylissin. Now, listen, I may not be in till late. I want you to stay inside the rest of the evening. A girl can't do nothing but get herself in a whole bunch of trouble being out in the streets late at night, okay? Okay, Mama. What we got to eat? They're like birds, aren't they?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Miss Evans repowders the moist places on her face, digs down into her purse and hands Phylissin $5. Take this and run down to Pop's place and buy yourself a couple of burgers. I'll bring some food home when I come home. Nita's cooking chitlins and stuff. Phylissin holds the $3, folds the $3 and $2 singles into a neat square and balls a fist around it. Mama gives her daughter a quick urgent peck on the cheek and a tender hug. You be good now. I shouldn't be out too late. Run on down to Pop's and come right on back. Don't be lollygagging around. You understand? You got your key? Phylissin nods yes stiffly, silently showing her mother the apartment key on a string around her neck. Mrs. Evans pauses at the door to see if she has her own key, and without another word leaves, her jaws set for bear. Phylissin stands as though rooted to the spot for a moment, slowly wanders over to her mother's last beer can, shakes it for proof of content, and then downs the dregs. She wanders listlessly, aimlessly about the room, sits staring out of the window at all the people on the street for a couple of minutes, and finally impulsively decides to go for her hamburgers. She trips through the hallway of her building, pausing to be curious at each door, starts downstairs and meets Chew Man, lounging on the second floor landing with Billy Woods and Bobo, killing a pint of white port. They make a sudden move to run before realizing who it is, settle back into their groove, seeing that it is only Phylissin. Chew Man, thin, hawk-faced, shadowed under a big hat propped rakishly on his bulging afro, suavely reaches for Phylissin's arm as she walks past. Where you going, girl? Where you going? He asks in his best Sweet Peter Dita voice. No way in particular, just walking out. Chew Man pulls back up the steps a bit and whispers loudly, "Come on up on the roof with me, I want to show you something." "Hey, Q man, you want this corner?" Bobo calls up to him as he and Phylissin start back up the stairs. "No, go ahead, kill it," he calls back, making an obscene gesture behind Phylissin's back. On the rooftop, filled with as much garbage as any of the alleys below, they spot, over in one corner, behind a crumbling chimney, two glowing tips going round in the dark. "Must be Willie and some of the fellas getting loaded," Jew-Man says, trying to make out all the faces in the dark. He leads her by the hand to another section of the roof behind the chimney. They stand there, leaning against the waist-high roof edge, staring down, fascinated by the sight of the swarming people on the street below, doing so many different things, and by the glistening lights from the tall buildings downtown throwing a spectrum of colors on low-lying clouds. Jew-Man edges behind Phylissin, aligns himself to the shape of a behind, locks his arms around her waist and begins to nibble on her earlobe and kiss her on her neck. "Yeah, Jew-Man, don't do that. I got to go." But Jew-Man doesn't stop. His hands go on to cup her breasts, to reach and push his slinger fingers down into the elastic top of her panties. She turns to face him as he attempts to pull her down onto the gravel surface of the roof. "Oh, Jew-Man, I love you so much," she says, and kisses him, her eyes closed and trusting, his open and cynical. He cruelly pulls her dress up, starts yanking her panties down and off, and trying in the same motion to unzip his fly. "Jew-Man, Jew-Man," she whispers to him as she permits herself to be stretched out on the roof. "You know, I think you're wrong about my period. I don't think I'm just irregular. I missed 3 times in a row. I think I'm pregnant. I don't think the red devils you gave me work." Jew-Man shows the slightest possible interest in the information Phylissin lays on him. He begins to make hard, forceful motions inside of her. "Move. Move over this way a little bit. This damn gravel is hurting my knees." 3 large silhouettes ooze into view, freezing Phylissin's motions with fear, towering above the 2 of them. "What's the matter? What's the matter?" Jew-Man asks, breathing hard. "You gonna dig the way I fuck or something?" "I don't think that's it, young blood," one of the figures says, the joint still glowing in his fingers. "I think she's just waiting for a real dick, that's all." Jew-Man looks over his shoulder with fear and the shame of knowing what is about to go down. "Go ahead and finish, little bro. I wait an hour for a shot of that tender young pussy." One of the figures nudges Jew-Man in the side with the toe of his shoe and says in a cold-blooded voice, "We ain't gonna have no trouble out of you, are we, young blood?" Phylissin holds her face in her hands, trying for a scream that won't come, as Jew-Man's body rolls off of her, exposing her nakedness to the night air. Chapter X111. Chapter 13.
Okay.
As the ghetto smoke rises in front of us.
Yes.
I'm starting this chapter off with a poem. The poem is called Africanthropus erectus. And there's some irony attached to this because Africanthropus in this particular situation does not erect. Deep, deep in the guts of shadowed back steps, shrouded by piss-stench hallways, fumbling rats, and benign neglect, the dark baby boy screwed his slender face into a crisscross knot, tightened the cord on his bubble vein, and impatiently waited his turn. The thin flayed arm, traced to the wrist with sullen bites from the angry needle, slowly settled itself by the side of his slim dark body, stung by the horse. There were no grass-bound lawns, romping dogs, or indulgent parents shedding social tears over his dry little frame. No concerned society to mourn him, no informative pieces in life or look, just the mean clutch of men from downtown, bending stiffly to snatch the smoking spike from his silent limb, smiling secretly at the thought of another nigga gone. Bam! Bam and Baby June look around anxiously at Mayflower's back door. Knock timidly. Baby June gives Bam a sharp look and motions for him to knock again harder. Mayflower, inside the apartment in the front room with drawn shades, practicing exotic steps to exotic music for an exotic, sometime to be formed dance, finally hears noise at the back door, skips through gaily. Better say who quickly, else you gonna stay out there. It's me, baby lady. Bam answers in a mustered up macho voice. Me, Mr. Bam Lovestick. Mayflower peeks out at the two of them on her back steps, ignores Baby June after a glance. Bam, are you drunk or something? What's this love stick business? He really likes him. Always did. Baby June drives on him quickly, urgently. Dig, Mayflower, you've been pretty nice people to both of us, and we thought, well, you'd have heard, and go ahead, man. Well, you see, it's like this, May lady. We got some stuff and we want to take off, and we ain't got nowhere to go. You know, the streets is red hot because of the rotten niggas that raped that little old Evans girl. Yeah, I heard about that. Niggas sure is changing. Never used to commit suicide and rape. Pardon. Baby June nudges him again harder. Right on. Anyway, the streets is smoking. Ever since that shit with Quindy, we really been on the bind. We ain't sure, but we think Sweet Peter might put out a contract for our asses. And if that ain't bad enough, like I said, there's that shit about them crazy motherfuckers who raped that girl. And Mayflower left hand placed saucily on hip. Y'all ain't gonna make my house no shooting gallery. No siree. Bam, turning on his sweetest, most appealing choir boy face. Oh, come on, Miss Baby Lady. Don't be like that. All we want to do is spend one night. We're going to get on in the daytime, but you know how it is. We have to get, sure enough, get busted. We're lurking around out here on Sunday night. Mayflower opens the door, stands in it, his face going from hard to soft, taking in the two pathetic figures drooping on his doorstep. Well, come on in. One night ain't gonna make all that much difference, I guess. Bam, I remember looking at you in high school thinking he could be the sweetest thing since Baby Ruth. If he'd stop hanging out with Baby June. The two men rush in gratefully as Mayflower carries on a non-stop conversation with them and herself. Baby June, why don't you go home and stay with your mama? Hey, May, you know I would if I could, but mama barred me from the crib. Only way I can get in is to break in. I can dig it. Go on in the front room and take care of your business. I'm gonna make me some coffee. Anybody want some? Bam and Baby June slouched through the small apartment, checking subconsciously for anything of value. No, baby, we don't want no coffee. We don't want no coffee. Mayflower removes his stash of money from his hiding place, stuffs it down into his panties, makes instant coffee, walks in smiling, sips coffee watching Bam and Baby June cook and shoot. Damn, I missed. Come here, May, hit me, will you, baby? Mayflower sits his coffee cup down in the clatter. Hell no. I said y'all could come here and take care of you if you wanted to, but I ain't gonna say shit about playing no nurse. Now that's real. What about Mayflower as slowly moving along, overjoyed that the boy meets, oh Lord, I skipped a page. Mayflower grimaces as Baby June takes the hypo from Bam and hits him expertly in the neck. Ooh, listen, y'all gonna do what you got to do. My thing is weed, cigarettes, and men. And right now, damn it, I ain't got no cigarettes. Bam, June, either one of y'all got any? They both nod softly, no, already on their way out there.
Yeah.
Mayflower, with one little move, snatches his pants from a nearby chair and pulls them on over his leotards, whips the shoulder strap of his precious Sicilian purse over his shoulder and announces to his drugged guests, I'm going out to get me some cigarettes. If I come back here and find one single goddamn thing, listen, both of you niggas gonna hang it up, dig it? Baby June, his head dripping down between his knees, answers for both of them. Well, yeah, right on. Mayflower looks at Bam, his head tilted back, his mouth dropped open, and smiles. Okay, okay. Be back in 3 shakes. Mayflower walks quickly through the slowed down Sunday night streets, digging as usual the attention paid to him. He prances into the Dewdrop Inn, clearing cigarettes from the machine and suddenly, impulsively, decides to sit at the almost empty bar and have one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cigarette.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What'll it be, Henry? Mac, I told you stop calling me Henry. Either call me Mayflower, else I'm gonna take my business elsewhere. Sorry about that. The bartender apologizes and lights his cigarette. Mayflower takes 2 petulant puffs before ordering. Do you have champagne or cold? Yeah, baby, we got everything you want. Mayflower looks carefully across at Mac, the bartender, 63 years old, young, pot-bellied and bald, and snorts derisively. Shit, I bet you. Let me have a cold champagne in a champagne glass. That's one of those round, shallow ones, and stick a cherry off in it for me. Will you, lover? 2 couples dragging through the weekend sniggle giggle at Mayflower. She burns them into the wall with her icy stare.
Mm-hmm.
And turns to sip delicately from his glass.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh, almost picked the whole thing.
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm.
The pinky fingers down.
I see.
Another couple, 2 men with thick necks and lumpy shoulders, check him out closely without a change of expression, hunch themselves over their beers. Mayflower, enjoying the casual notoriety of being the only one of his kind in the bar, sachets over to the jukebox, plays 3 records and slithers back to his seat at the bar, bumping and grinding slightly all the way. Matt, could I have another one of them? And would you please make it cold this time? Mac, with a slightly exasperated sigh, reaches down into the refrigerator bar, fills several bottles, and finally pops the cap from what seems to be the coldest one, pours up. Mayflower, sighting himself in the bar mirror for the first time, primps his hair, studies the angles of his face carefully, and exchanges a brief knowing glance with one of the thick-necked men at the end of the bar. Mayflower, conquest positive, sips a few more swallows from his glass. Exchanges another significant look with the gent at the end and prances past the snickering couples, rolling his eyes in bitchy fashion on the way out. Mayflower stretches luxuriously outside of the bar, glances around through the window to check to see if she's being followed. He's being followed. And smiles with ego pleasure to see that he is. He walks slowly, seductively, on the shadowed parts of the streets waiting for her man to catch up. Goose pimples break out on his neck to hear on a darkened section of the sidewalk a hard, rasping voice. Hey, wait a minute. Wait up, I want to talk to you. Mayflower wheels around high-fashion model style and with a slender, well-manicured nail point to his own chest. Who, me? Eyelashes blinking coyly.
Yes, yes.
The man strolls up to him, a rolling weightlifter's walk. Yeah, you. I was in the bar a few minutes ago and I saw you. You and your buddy. What happened to him? He decided he wanted to stay and drink beer. I decided I wanted to talk to you. What about? Mayflower asked, slowly moving along, overjoyed at the boy meets girl strolling aspect of the situation. Oh, a bunch of things. Hey, why don't we sit in my car and talk about it? I'm parked across the street. Mayflower throws his nose up in a huffy way. I think you must be mistaken, honey. I don't know what gave you the idea that I make it my business getting strange cars with strange men. Oh, come on, you know me and I know you. How come we can't sit and talk a little bit? He graciously lights a cigarette for Mayflower, and he, with a moment's hesitation behind, consented to talk. Okay, but just for a minute. They crossed the street, the man guiding Mayflower by the elbow to a brand new Chevy. He opens the door for Mayflower, and on his way around to the other side of the car, unzips his pants and jumps in. They sit for a long moment, and then the man uncorks his member from his open fly. You ever say anything this big? He asks, waving it back and forth. Mayflower glances quickly and then turns away, disgusted. Oh, don't be so vulgar. That's disgusting the way some men act. The other thick-necked man is suddenly at Mayflower's door, pulling him out of the car roughly as his partner behind the wheel snatches with ham hands at Mayflower's purse. Oh my God! Mayflower screams, trying to prevent himself from being snatched out of his car without his purse. Go ahead, man, rip it off, snatch it off his arm. She's holding too tight. Mayflower screaming hysterically now. It hit several quick, methodical jabs in the mouth and nose, but still tries to escape, clutching his purse. With the man on the sidewalk blocking Mayflower's exit, his partner reaches down, stuffs his member back into his pants, and pulls out a knife from his coat pocket and begins to saw at the strap of Mayflower's purse. Mayflower acts by striking out blindly, courageously. Well, I'll be goddamn, this motherfucking punk, goddamn, you trying to hit me, you punk ass. The man behind the wheel dumps his knife into Mayflower's chest, up to the hilt, pulls it out, and pulls it in again, then again. Pull this bitch out of here, Moose. He calls out urgently to his partner in the street. The occasional pedestrian has now become a fearful group of six standing a safe distance away, trying to become brave enough to edge up to the car. That's what's happening. Moose drags Mayflower from the car, throws him on the sidewalk, tries to pull a purse from his grasp one last time, fails, and kicks him in the face in exasperation. He jumps in the car, disgusted at the blood on the seat and the situation. God damn, Ray. Since when did you get so fucking weak you can't even pull a goddamn purse out of Phylissin's hands? Ray, deliberate to take his time to back up and pull out, answered, didn't see you do no better. That punk really wanted to keep that pocketbook. Moose looking out at Mayflower on the sidewalk as they began to pull away. Wait, hold on a minute. If that sissy wants to keep that purse that fucking bad, he's got to have something worthwhile in it. Wait, man, you crazy? Look at all these people starting to come out here. Ray accelerates in time to avoid having his car hit by a couple of bricks thrown by members of the group who finally realized that they were watching an attempted robbery and the fatal stabbing of Henry Mayflower. I have to stop here for just a minute and say that my mother, who had many gay friends, matter of fact, one of our earliest gay babysitters was a man whose name was close to Mayflower. And the book came out, as you know, in 1974. And my mother was writing me little notes, and we exchanged phone calls. She said, you know, Lulu and baby Wowo and sweet darling and several of it. They were so disappointed.
Oh, yeah.
They were so hurt when they were asking, why did you have to kill Mayflower?
I know.
So, for a long time, I had to go around and explain, I did not kill Mayflower.
Right.
For all who might be concerned,
Mayflower got killed.
Mayflower got killed.
But I didn't kill
I
him.
did not kill Mayflower.
There you go.
Baby June stretches himself into a long, fierce nod, checks the daylight streaming through the lace curtain window, and creeps through the house looking for Mayflower. Guess the old girl must have gotten into something. He mumbled to himself and passed to the kitchen to raid the refrigerator, scratching at his ribs. Body began to feel the urge to nourish his John. He wanders through the apartment, his promise not to burglarize forgotten, nibbling on crackers and cheese. He strolls over to Bam. Bam, wake up, man. You want some cheese and soda crackers? Just like a punk to be having something like that, huh? He shakes Bam by the shoulder, jarring him from his head back, mouth open position.
Mm-hmm.
Bam keels over onto the sofa cushions and down on the floor, stiffly. Bam! Baby June speaks to him, her tiny, faraway voice dropping cheese and crackers. Bam! Wake up, man! Bam! Wake up, man! Please, wake up! Baby June stumbles over to a corner of the sofa, too stunned for tears. He sits staring at his friend curled up on the floor, head held back stiffly, mouth frozen open, unable to move. Big Mama drags her favorite chair and spittoon can out onto the front stoop, scans up and down the street for signs of anything unusual, and finally satisfied that there is no such animal, settles on her seat, trying to recirculate They already humor there with a rolled up newspaper. Prepared to make a report on a bluer Monday than some of them have been. Late in the day, Baby June makes it past Big Mama's post, half held up by John 15X. I need help, brother. I'm sicker than anybody ever been. No bullshit. John 15X helps him along, pauses with him from a drawn-out session of the dry heaves into the gutter. I know you need help, brother. Most black people do. Even if they ain't on drugs, because they still hoping secretly, a lot of them, that the blue-eyed devil gonna help them solve their problems. If they ain't they ain't learned better by this time, well, they struggled up the street. Baby June's arms wrapped around Brother John 15X's shoulders. Big Mama watches the two of them reach the corner and turn it. Her eyes sweep back to a big black lettered group of words sprayed onto the side of the corner building. She pulls her glasses from her apron pocket, cleans them, and leans forward slightly to read. Free Lubertha! Free Quindy! Free black people now! That's what the sign said. This last poem in the book, I'm calling Addendum, is a poem that I didn't write, but was written by a friend of my father's. He must be about 100 now. The man's name is Saul, Brother Saul, we call him. Brother Saul. And here's the poem he wrote after reading Ghetto Sketches. He calls it, Is y'all crazy? Y'all must be crazy to think that we're going to allow y'all to prevent us from voting after we've gone through all of what we've gone through to get to the vote. Y'all must be crazy to even think that we would drop down to where you once put us, to be where you once had us, to prevent us from voting. We understand, we know, with all of your incoherent misunderstanding of our history, that you might be freaked into misunderstanding that you can prevent us from doing what we've been bled to do, what we've died to do. Y'all must be crazy to even think that we are going to allow y'all to prevent us from voting after we've been through the bleeding and the dying, all of the lynchings, the daily torture, all of what you put in front of us to prevent us from being citizens of the greatest nation on earth, made with our enslaved labor. Y'all must be crazy. Pick up an unredacted history book, quick. Don't get tricked out by racist rhetoric. Don't wind up on the wrong side of your own history. Y'all must be crazy to even think that we are going to allow y'all to prevent us from voting. Open up your eyes to American history, not racist notions. That's all I'm saying. Y'all must be crazy. You know what I'm saying? Crazy people? Y'all must be crazy.
They must be crazy.
Okay, that ends that. And that finishes the Ghetto Sketches
2021.
2021.
Okay, it can be purchased on Amazon, Author House, go to your local bookstore and say you want a copy of Ghetto Sketches 2021. It's a new updated version. And O.D. Hawkins' website is www.odhawkins.com. If you like this video, please subscribe. And this household stands with the Black authors and with the Ukraine.
Oh, yes. Okay, just a few quick words about the Ukrainian situation and our situation. I know it might strike some people as being, well, not quite analogous, but it is. African Americans have been in a situation that the Ukrainians are in now. We've been in a situation for 400 years. You bombed us, you misinformed us, you tried to enslave us, we tried to be independent. We were in many cases independent, Tulsa, and whenever we became the masters of our ships and the captains of our souls, you tried to prevent us from doing that. And in many cases, like in the Ukrainian situation, we've been shot and bombed, Tulsa. We've been mistreated and so forth and so on. So it's become very easy for us to ally ourselves with the Russian attempt to obliterate Ukraine. We stand with the people of Ukraine, and hopefully when we are asking for the right to vote and fighting for the right to vote, they'll join us. I invite all Ukrainians who have received our votes and our support, that they receive arms and so forth and so on, come back and help us when we need you. We may not be forced to bomb Washington, but if we get the wrong person in office, you'll think that Putin is in America somewhere, and we'll need you to help you to get him out of there.
Democracy is worth fighting for. All right, freedom of will, freedom of choice. And with that, thank you, O.D. Hawkins. IT-NESS.